Well, good evening and welcome back to the channel. First thing I want to say is I'm not depressed. I am not suicidal. I am very happy with my life. So I thought I'd just say that real quick, just in case something crazy ever happens. I don't think it will. I just thought it'd be funny. But anyway, on my Facebook page here lately, I have been posting a lot of things about what I think is going on in the world today. And several of my friends have said that they want to know what I think. And I've been hesitant about putting that on my page because it's just too much information to try to share in a post. So I put a post out today asking if people would like to see a video of what I think is going on in the world. And a lot of people had very positive responses. So I figured, well, let's go out on a limb, make a video, take a risk doing this, because as of right now, I'm really nervous doing this. This is going to be something totally different than what I talk about with Watchtower. Like I said before, I have two missions. One, to expose Watchtower, and the other to expose mainstream media and things that I think that are going on in the world. Now, what I want to say first is everything I say is my opinion. I am not here to start a war in the comment section with someone. I'm not here to lose friends over my opinion. I'm not the type of person that wants to battle with somebody and tell them what they need to believe. I left that when I left Watchtower. So, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, we were very sheltered. We basically lived in a bubble. You know, they dictated how we lived our lives, what entertainment we could look at, what type of music to listen to. If they look down on people going, they look down on people going to college. There's so many things that Watchtower did that is very controlling, and they still do it today. Now, this video, I don't edit stuff. I just speak. So there's going to be some times where I may lose my train of thought, or I mess up some words or something like that. So please just bear with me, because there's a lot of information that I want to share with you guys that I believe. And please understand, this is my opinion, what I believe. Take it for what it's worth. If I say something in the video that piques your interest, go look it up for yourself. Yeah, just do that. So, but one thing about being a Jehovah's Witness, especially towards the end and me getting ready to wake up and leave, I had so many questions about things in the organization. And these were questions that no one would answer, or they would try to give you an answer and you're like, well, yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. And I find myself, or I view myself as a critical thinker and a logical person. I try to do my best. Now, with everything that I'm getting ready to talk about, could I be wrong? Absolutely. And if I'm wrong, that's okay. I'll just look back and, well, look, dang, I was wrong about all that. But I've done some research. I've tried to connect some dots, and wow, it's unbelievable what's out there. And that's one thing, as a Jehovah's Witness, since you were in that bubble, you really didn't know what was going on in the world. And then after you wake up from being a Jehovah's Witness, you realize, holy crap, I was lied to. I was in that organization for 40 years. I feel like during my waking up process that I was lied to. And so, because I have that mentality, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start to question everything. Everything that's going on in the world. Just, I have questions. So that's what started my process of going down this path. And again, just my opinion. All right. So why did I go down this path? Well, when everything started with the coronavirus, it was like around the beginning of March that I actually started paying attention to all this. Excuse me. And then there was talk about them wanting to shut the borders down all over the world. And I just had to question, I was like, why are they going to shut the borders down for a virus? Now, at the time, we didn't know how bad it was. We didn't know anything. Mainstream media wasn't telling us yet. You know, you had folks out there saying, oh, it's still okay to go out and hang out and all that. But I had questions about it because when in 2009, when the H1N1 flu hit the United States, nothing was done. There was no travel ban. There was no locking down everybody in their homes. There was no national emergency declared until December of 2009, and the administration at the time knew about it in April of 2009. So why wasn't there a national emergency for the H1N1? And if I'm correct, I think the H1N1 killed way more people than the coronavirus has. So I really don't want to get into, you know, how bad I think it is or how good, because there's people that have different opinions, but after I explain everything, you'll kind of know where I'm at on this. So another thing I want to say is, as far as political stuff, I've never voted. I will this year. And I'm not a political scholar. I'm not a historical scholar. I'm just a regular guy that has questions, who went and did some research and formed an opinion, and folks want to know it. So Democrat, Republican, I really don't want to talk about that too much, because this is bigger than just Democrat and Republican. This actually affects many countries throughout the world. And there's many countries out there that there's not a Democrat and Republican political party. They all have different types of parties. So I want to, you know, address that real quick to say that, you know, yeah, I lean right. I do like Trump. My thoughts about Trump are this. In the 90s, when I began selling insurance, I was looking for books to read that talked about motivation for selling. And so I'd read Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins. Then I found Donald Trump's books, and I read them, loved them. Then he got on The Apprentice, and I was like, ooh, Donald Trump. And I watched it. That first year, I was like, ooh, I want to be on The Apprentice, because I like that stuff. Then when he went into Celebrity Apprentice, I kind of backed off and like, whatever. Didn't really think much about him. Didn't pay attention to the news. And in 2012, when the election was happening then, I was just thinking to myself, man, it'd be nice if we could actually get a businessman, a business person in office and run this country like a business. Because I was looking at the national debt, and I'm like, come on, why can't we get in a budget? What's going on with this? Anyway, next thing I know, I hear Donald Trump's running for president. I'm like, holy crap, how's that going to work? I don't think he's going to win. Then he won. And wow, okay, he won. Then I didn't pay attention to the news ever since he got elected. I've been living my life, doing my own thing, and then working with my activism here as an XJW for the last, coming up on a year. And I really didn't get involved with anything until that question came to mind: why are we shutting down the borders? Well, a friend of mine sent me some information, and she said, Jimmy, you need to watch these videos. So I started watching these videos, and it introduced me to a movement called the QAnon movement. Now, I have been told by two people at least that, Jimmy, you don't need to be talking about this because it's going to ruin your credibility with Triple T to the G. You know, I put this post out, I said, I have other interests that are not of this fold. So all this stuff I'm talking about, I keep it separate from my Watchtower stuff. So I want to make that clear that this is not something that's going to be on our Facebook group or anything like that. That's why this video is going on YouTube. So I started watching these videos, and my mind just went, it kind of reminded me of when I woke up from the indoctrination of Jehovah's Witnesses. I was going through all these videos, over 1,000 videos, and my mind just kept going, wow. And that's the same feeling I had with this stuff. I was looking at these videos and I was like, holy crap, is this for real? And then I started doing research and research and more research, and my mind just got blown. So, just like in the XJW community, we tell folks they need to get their story out. This is me getting my story out of my opinion. And I should have turned my volume off on my phone, but I didn't, so hopefully I don't get too many dings. So I found this QAnon movement, and what it is, it's a movement to help expose the deep state. It's designed to help people be aware of what's going on in the world. Now, the QAnon movement, what that is we get drops from Q. Q is not a single person. It is actually a small group of folks that have high military intelligence security clearance that are dropping crumbs about things that are going on and showing a plan to try to fix things. I was very skeptical at the beginning. And then I started looking at stuff, and then things started making some sense. So, again, I went back and started doing more research. And I found out about the deep state. There's a lot of people that do not believe that there is a deep state or a secret society. So what I want to talk about first is the existence of secret societies. And if you go back to, where is it? 1854. 1854, on July 4th, there was a group named the Knights of the Golden Circle. And they started in 1854, and this was a group of folks that their mission, and I wrote it down, was to annex a golden circle of territories in Mexico, Central America, Confederate States of America, and the Caribbean slave states. So what these folks wanted to do, they wanted to create a big old place to where slavery would still exist. They wanted to keep slavery in place. Now, when Abraham Lincoln started running for president, this group went into full mode. They were attacking him. They were, disparaging him. They were saying how stupid he was and all that good stuff. Well, on the 3 days after he was elected, South Carolina seceded from the Union. And before his inauguration speech, 6 southern states had left the Union. And we all know what happened with that, the Civil War, all that stuff. And then when President Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, comes to show that John Wilkes Booth was a member of the Knights of the Golden Circle. It was a secret society hell-bent on destroying Abraham Lincoln. And that group went extinct in 1863. That group was a precursor of the KKK. Now, the KKK was founded in 1865. And the information I pulled from Wikipedia, KKK was a vehicle for white Southern resistance to the Republican Party's Reconstructive-era policies aimed at establishing political and economic equality for blacks, with their underground campaign of intimidation and violence directed at white and black Republican leaders. So, that was another organization that was set up to try to ruin what the folks were trying to do for the black folks. They were trying to make things better, not just for the black folks, but for everybody. So, I don't want to get into much of that, but yeah, the KKK was founded by those who weren't Republican. It's true. You can look that up. So, why do I mention the secret societies? Because there is one existing today. If you look back at JFK, JFK gave a speech on April 27th, 1961, where he mentioned the phrase infiltration instead of invasion. And what he was meaning was the United States was so strong that not there's not one country that could have come in and defeated the U.S. militarily one-on-one. So this secret society knew that the only way to get America brought down was to infiltrate it from the inside. JFK talked about that. Eventually, JFK was assassinated for what he knew. Then, on January 20th of 1981, in President Reagan's inaugural address, he said, "Government is not the solution, government is the problem." Again, Reagan knew that there were secret societies working against the government. There was an assassination attempt on his life. So, why are the three guys, Lincoln, JFK, and Reagan, why did they all have to have dealings with, somebody trying to assassinate or actually killing them? Why? So, hang on. So, as far as there being a deep state, I do believe there is. Now, what is going to take place, in my opinion, is the deep state is going to be exposed. And right now they're doing that, but I will touch back on that in a second. What Q was showing is the fact that there are people working to destroy the United States of America and also looking to destroy just basically the way people live their lives around the world. It's called the one world government. These people want a one world government. They've been wanting it for years. And this is where we go back in history again to 1913. On December 23rd of 1913, the Federal Reserve was put into place. Now, the Federal Reserve is a private institution. During that time, a lot of the rich guys of the world got together and decided to put together a bank that would be able to loan money out to countries, charge them interest, and they would make money on this interest. And then the countries would be beholding to the Federal Reserve, or as I'll call them also, the central bank. If you Google it, you will see, Google how many countries have a central bank system. And there's tons of countries. So what the central bank did is they introduced the progressive income tax. There was no income tax in the United States of America until the Federal Reserve came along. Why did they do it? They wanted to get money from Americans coming into that system. And they just kept growing and growing. And then they wanted to branch out across the world. And they started to do this. They started with trying to make the League of Nations, which failed. They ended up going and making the UN, which is still around today. And what this Federal Reserve does and the central bank systems do, they control the economy. This is why we have seen bubbles in the economy, the housing bubble, the internet bubble. You have all these bubbles and then they break. And it's like no matter how hard we work, we can never get ahead. And so this central bank controls the economy. And another thing that the Federal Reserve and the central bank did is they took America off the gold standard. We hear about back in the good old days how you could take $1 and buy so many things with just $1. Now you can't hardly buy anything with $1. So on August 15th, 1971, that is when President Nixon took the United States off the gold standard. And we went into the petrodollar. And then we know about the gas shortages and everything in the 70s. So what's happening right now is President Trump has done something that no other president has done. And, hang on. The left, or the globalists, let's call them the globalists, because when I say deep state and globalist, there's actually bad actors on both sides. That's why I say this is not Democrat Republican, because there are bad Republicans, there are bad Democrats, and they all work together for this globalist cause. Well, when the coronavirus hit, they pushed for him to shut down everything. They pushed for him to sign the Defense Production Act. Now, the Defense Production Act is a act that the president can enact that would give him the ability to tell companies what they need to make for the good of the country. You know, like in World War II, there were many plants that were converted over to ammunition, tanks, wartime material. And so what President Trump has done is he's turned it into ventilators, masks, gowns, having all these different companies make this. Well, one thing he did that the mainstream media will not show you is he has privatized the Federal Reserve. Now, how can he do that? The Federal Reserve is a private institution. So he has pulled the Federal Reserve into the Treasury right now. And he's in the process of having it to where the Fed will be eliminated and we will be back on the gold standard, which will make our dollar worth something. Now, that's where all this stimulus money is coming right now, because what he's doing, he's using the fiat dollars of the federal system, of the Federal Reserve, to help out folks. You know, in 2009, the mainstream folks did not get helped, but he is trying to help folks get through this event, because he knows that this event is not the American people's or the world's people's fault. So he's trying to help, and he's using that money. So what he's going to do, he's going to load all this debt on the Federal Reserve, and it's going to get to a point to where the Federal Reserve will have to be bankrupt and gone. That's why, watching the news, Trump is talking about suspending payroll taxes, getting rid of them, possibly getting rid of the IRS, which would be a good thing. Now, why are those good? Why did they get put in place? Because the central bank, deep state, whatever you want to call them, they use that money to further their agenda. That's what they do. That's what I feel they do. And so that's why he pushed income tax day to July 15th. Because with this event going on, the deep state would need that money to help them out further their cause. Well, now they didn't get that money because, well, no one's done their taxes yet. So that's just one arm of how the deep state funds themselves, is through the income tax, all these taxes, all these regulations, all these things that are done to us to make us just not be able to grow financially, not be able to, you know, get ahead, so to speak. All right, hang on. It's a lot of talking. I'm trying to keep it all memorized. Now, there's two other arms financially for this deep state. One is the House of Saud. And if you look back here a couple of months ago, there were 298 Saudi Arabian officials that were arrested on corruption, bribery, racketeering, all that. So it takes them down right now. The other thing that they get their money from, the deep state does, is from trafficking, human trafficking. And it's actually the third most lucrative business in the world. So with this event, what the deep state wanted to do, in my opinion, is our economy was booming. Everything was great. They knew that if this kept going, President Trump would be reelected with no issues. So they tried the thing with Flynn, which we know that, well, I'll get into Flynn in here in a second. But they tried that. That's proven out to be false. They tried the Russian collusion. They tried the impeachment. They tried going after him about everything. None of that worked. So now what they do? Well, let's have a virus. Now, as far as the virus is concerned, yes, there are people getting sick out there. And I hate that. I've already talked about that. I don't doubt that there's a virus. But what I do doubt is what the mainstream media is hyping on how bad it is. The numbers just don't add up to me. So Trump has taken this event that the deep state was using to try to harm him, and he's turned it around to use it against them. There are operations going on in the Caribbean right now. He did mention in one of his pressers that there was a indictment against Nicolas Maduro. They're going after him. They're going after the gangs. They're going after MS-13. They're going after the drug cartels. And that will eliminate money coming into the deep state. And so how is the deep state going to get more money? Well, they got to try to raise taxes on the states that they operate in. They got to do something, hold a fundraiser for the WHO. They've got to do something to be able to get this money, because the deep state is backed by a lot of people. Bill Gates, Fauci, Birx, George Soros, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these folks are in this. And they want a one world government. So, all right, let me get my thoughts together. Where are we at now? So, Trump is, like I said, he's in the process of taking down the money that's coming into the deep state, and he's in the process of right now of exposing people. That's where this phase is right now. That's where we're at right now, because he's in the process of exposing mainstream media for what they do. He's in the process of exposing the governors, mayors of the United States that want to be trampling on the Constitution. So when this all first happened, they were calling for him to just shut the country down, just lock it down, go to martial law, all that. But everybody knew, that is in the administration, knew that if Trump did that, then the mainstream media would spin it and call him a dictator, and then they would run with that. But he didn't do that. He left it up to the states to make the decisions for the states, and that's what is supposed to happen. The governors are responsible for their states. Federal government is just supposed to be the secretary for all these folks and help them out when they need it. So with this lockdown, I do believe the first couple of weeks the lockdown was necessary, because what it did is it protected the Americans. It protected people because there was no kids going to school. There was no theaters working at the moment. There's no people in restaurants. You don't have the opportunity for a false flag. And if you look at the news throughout the past, whenever something comes out that doesn't favor the deep state very much, then there's a false flag. A bombing of some sort. A war gets started. Or something. Something comes up that takes the attention. So by locking folks down or just suggesting that, and the governor's doing that, I think that was used to protect us. Now I think that part of the event is over. That's why the national guidelines for the lockdown have been dissipated, and it's left up to the governors. But what you see right now happening is governors are exposing themselves for who they are. The Constitution does not get suspended due to a pandemic. So people have the right to go out. They have the right to stay home. They have the right to do what they want when it comes to moving around and assembling and things like that. So you got governors of California, Michigan, Illinois, Maine, Virginia, showing who they truly are. They are doing things that violate the Constitution. And they're being exposed. And one reason why a lot of this stuff's not coming out in the mainstream media is, one, they don't want to talk about it. And two, you just can't come out and just tell people the truth and say there's going to be indictments, there's going to be some people going to jail. You just can't come out and tell people that, because they won't believe it. You have to show the public. So right now, that's what's going on. We can see these folks being exposed for what they truly feel. And I got a feeling that a lot of these governors, they have their marching orders. The deep state that controls this operation, they're paying them. They're paying them to keep your state locked down. And, you know, it just doesn't, it's just not right. And so that's why I feel that the United States needs to open back up, because what what the deep state wanted to do is they wanted to shut everything down and keep it closed through the election. They wanted to scare people into the fact, oh, you can't go out because you're going to get sick. They're doing it right now. They're saying that, oh, the cases are going to skyrocket and this is going to come back. It's, in my opinion, I know I'll take some heat for this, but it's the flu. It's the flu. It's my opinion. I've talked to a lot of people about this. It's just my opinion. But they wanted to keep the election, they wanted to keep the lockdown and people scared through the election time so they could start instituting mail-in voting. Well, I've had discussions with some friends, and there's a lot of mail-in voting is not the cure-all for this issue. It cannot be 100% honest and fair. Another thing you look at is the support for the president was skyrocketing, and the support for the Democratic nominee was not really there. He was making gaffes. He was doing this and that just looked bad. So this gives them the opportunity to hide him, not have him out in public saying a bunch of stuff. And I do believe that he's not even going to be the eventual nominee. I think he's going to be replaced. And we've already seen some stuff on the internet that they're starting to talk about maybe possibly replacing him. Oh, there's so much. I'm not even getting into the child trafficking because that's a whole nother story. So I actually think I'll stop right there because I'm kind of losing where I'm at a little bit. It's already been 32 minutes of straight talking, but I really believe that there's something else going on. I think there's a lot of people, just like back in Lincoln's time, where the secret society wanted to accomplish a goal. I think that's what's happening right now. The deep state does not want people to have individual rights. They want to control people. And they're doing it right now. Oh, you can't go to the beach. You can't go to the park. Really? Seriously? You know, but you can go to Walmart. You can go to Home Depot. You can go to the gas station. But you can't go to the beach. It makes no sense. And then you got the mayor of Chicago telling people that if you're out, she's going to treat you like a criminal and take you to jail. Does that seem that it's about a virus? Or does that seem controlling? There's just questions. And so what will set everything off? How do I think you'll be able to know what's going on? Oh yeah, this is what I want to talk about. FISA. In one accused post, he said FISA equals START. And if you look at General Flynn, this is why I posted that he will be exonerated. Because General Flynn did serve in the Obama administration. I'm pretty sure he did. And he knew a lot of stuff that was going on. And he wanted to expose that stuff. So the FBI concocted a plan to try to trap him, to discredit him. Go after Trump. Go after Flynn. Go after Stone. Go after these guys so they could create a picture to make Trump look bad. And so what we're finding out now is they did try to set him up. They did try to destroy him. And they've done a pretty good job. But it's not going to hold. He's going to get exonerated. And then all those people that lied or didn't come forward with the truth, they're going to be held accountable. And in my opinion, I believe when you see Comey, McCabe, Brennan, Clapper. I think that those will be some of the first indictments you'll see. And then you got to think, okay, where did they get their orders from? It had to come from higher up. So I do believe that there's going to be some high profile individuals that will have to answer for what they did. Now, everything I said is my opinion. Will it happen? I don't know. I hope it does, because if it does, then people are held accountable for the wrongdoings they've done. The economy goes back to a gold standard. I do believe the economy is going to boom. Now, will it happen right away? No. Will you be able to flip the switch and the economy's back to where it was? No. It's going to trickle, but it's going to get back to where it was. So, I guess a lot of us look at things, we always want answers for something to make us feel better. So with me looking at all this stuff, I'm not worried. I'm not scared. I trust the plan. I can see things unfolding in the news that are lining up with what Q is saying. And I'm not stressed out about it. I'm not scared about getting sick, because I do believe that hydroxychloroquine and some other drugs, that I think those will come out and be approved by the FDA. I'm not worried. And I know that I do believe that the economy will come back. But what's going to happen is this is not going to be an easy ride. The deep state is going to continue to fight. They're going to be continuing to control the media, to push a narrative. This is bad. This is evil. Now we got murder hornets. Really? Where'd they come from? I mean, I've never heard of a murder hornet. So the deep state is not going to give up. They are fighting for their lives right now, because they know that if this plan succeeds, they're done for. They're done for. And I don't know. I just think that would be a good thing. It would be nice to be able to go to work and make our money and not be raped when it comes to income taxes or personal property taxes or things like that. So, have I covered everything? Constitutional rights being infringed on, the media hype. Oh my God, I can't stand the mainstream media. Information war. There is going to be an information war. It's going on right now. You will probably see some articles out there trying to discredit the QAnon movement. That's going to happen. It's already happening. You're going to see people calling a lot of people conspiracy theorists. And again, what I say on that was coined by the CIA in the 50s and 60s, just to make people feel like the people that believe in this stuff was crazy. Same thing Watchtower does with the word apostate. So there is going to be an information war. And then that's what happens when you're getting so much information coming in. That's when battles start between people. And I don't like to see that. I don't like to see battles. It's okay to have different opinions and you can still be friends. One of my best friends, I'm going to give him a shout out, Jay the comedian. Me and him are so split on this. And Jordan Brown. Shout out, buddy. I've talked to both of them. They just roll their eyes at what I'm saying. And that's fine. It's fine. Me and Jay have a little bet going on some stuff. But we can talk about this and do it like adults. And again, I think that's one of the problems with the XJW community, with a lot of folks, is they just can't get past that JW mentality to where they always have to be right. You got to look at it this way. Some don't want to open their minds. Some just want to keep, in a little bubble where they're at, and they're good with that. But there's always room for growth, physically, mentally, emotionally. People change, their ideas change about things. So all I would like to see from the XJW community, which I love very much, is I would like to see folks treat each other with respect. Realize that this person might be more awoke than you are right now, and that's okay. You may change your mind and get there, and you may not. But all I ask from the community is our main goal. I wasn't going to make this about Watchtower, but our main goal is to expose and bring down Watchtower. or to at least limit the harm that they're doing to people throughout the world. And I just want to see folks treat each other with respect. That's all. If you don't like me, that's fine. You know, that's fine. If I lose viewers, if I lose friends, it's okay. I have a voice. I can speak. And that's what I want to do. I just want to speak out. And maybe something I say will be a benefit to someone. But for the community that I love, just don't argue with folks too much. Don't call people names. Just respect one another. Agree to disagree. That's a great thing. Agree to disagree and then make a joke about it. That's what me and Jay do. So, all right. I'm not going to watch this video. I'm just going to straight post it and go from there. So I ask, please do not come at me. Please be nice. Please, if you have questions, I'll be more than happy to talk with you about something. I have no problem with that. I know I probably missed a lot of things, but I think I covered the highlights. I didn't even get into Bill Gates. Look him up. So, if you like this video, hit like. If you like what I'm doing, hit subscribe. And if you feel that this video had some value to it, feel free to share it. And let's see where the chips fall. I thank you all so very much. And please don't hate me. That's all I ask. I love you guys. Have a wonderful evening.